Welcome to MIRCal video training. This video is designed specifically for designated agents who are facility contractor vendors responsible for submitting patient data files to OSHPD. By the end of this video, you will know how to submit a facility data file to OSHPD, retrieve and interpret the submission results, and submit a corrected data file. As discussed in the MIRCal Basics video, designated agents cannot access all of MIRCal's functions. Designated agents can submit data files to OSHPD, view the resulting error summary page, and access the summary error reports. Designated agents cannot enter records online, access any detailed error reports, or make record corrections in the MIRCal system. Let's begin by logging into MIRCal. If your agency contracts with multiple facilities, you will choose the correct facility from a drop-down list. If your agency contracts with only one facility, that facility will be selected automatically. We are using a fictional facility called Training Facility. When you finish logging in, the submission status page is displayed. The top of this page shows the report period and data type you selected. Confirm that they are correct. If not, use the links on the left to access the correct report period. You'll work within this facility report period until you either log out of MIRCal or change facility, data type, or report period. The main part of the page shows the report period, the due date, and summary information from any previous submissions made during the report period. We haven't submitted a file yet, so the summary fields are blank or marked 0. We'll come back to this page after we've submitted. Under Online Submission in the main menu, click Submit File. Confirmation messages are displayed whenever you start the file submission process and just before you submit the data file. They serve as reminders to make sure you are working with the correct data type. The example shows that we are going to submit inpatient data, which is correct, so we'll choose OK. The contact information for the facility is displayed. If you are in an inpatient profile, it will display the licensing information as well. We are now on the submission page and need to select Test or Formal Submission. The screen provides a brief definition of each. Let's take a closer look at both types. A facility's data must be formally submitted and receive OSHPD approval by the report period due date. You should only submit formally when all corrections and changes to the data are completed. The facility should also confirm all data are correct by reviewing their data distribution report. This report can be found on the Error Reports page. The data will be approved if it is at or below the established error tolerance level, which we discuss in Video 4. Once data is approved, it cannot be changed or corrected. If the data does not meet error tolerance, it will be rejected. The data must be corrected and resubmitted until errors are below error tolerance. If the due date is missed, the data will be delinquent and the facility will be subject to penalties of $100 per day. Before you make a formal submission, all changes and corrections should be made using the Test Submission function. Test Submission imitates formal submission, but does not grant formal approval. A test submission goes through the same edit programs as a formal submission, allowing the facility to correct data before submitting it formally. Test Submission offers several benefits. You can submit a portion of the data to test your file format, and you can correct and resubmit data as many times as you like. There are a few things about test submissions to keep in mind. If you submit more than one file for the same report period, the new file will override all data that you or the facility previously submitted for that period. This includes any saved records and online corrections the facility may have entered. Now that you understand the submission types, let's get back to our file submission. This will be the facility's first submission, so we will select Test. The Transmittal for File Submission page is now displayed. First, you must enter the number of records that are in the file you are submitting. MIRCal will compare the number you enter here to the actual number of records in the file. We know how many records our file contains, so we will enter that information here. Now we will choose Browse to attach our data file. A standard dialog box is displayed. Locate your file on your PC and select Open. The data file must be zipped if it is larger than 3 megabytes and be in text file format. You can view the file and format specifications on our website if you need more information. Once the file name is displayed in the File field, you can choose Attach. Depending on the size of the file and the speed of your connection, it could take anywhere from a few seconds to several minutes to complete the file attachment. You know it's done when the file name, size, and type are displayed under the Attach button, just as it is displayed here. Now select Submit and confirm you are submitting the correct data type. We are now on the Confirmation for File Submission page. This page provides basic information about the submission, including the confirmation number. OSHPD recommends that you print or save a copy of this page for each submission for your records. We'll choose Continue, which takes us back to the submission status page. Now the report status shows that our file has been submitted but not yet processed. You can check on the status of your submission by coming back to this page. Processing time will depend on the number of facilities that are also submitting. MIRCal will provide submission results within 24 hours. The table under Report Status provides all the details for the current submission. It includes whether the data was last submitted as a test or formal, the date, the username, the total number of test and formal submissions, and the number of records in the most recent submission. The report status message will vary depending on the type of submission and the submission results. Below ETL indicates that the test submission passed all edit programs. Data that is below ETL should receive approval when submitted formally. But note, MIRCal cannot edit all possible data errors, so it is up to the facility to review and certify that all data are accurate. Let's imagine we submitted our file and we have logged back in to check the status. The submission status page is always the first page displayed after choosing a report period. The message shows that the data was rejected. Before you contact the facility, determine why the file was rejected. To do that, go to the Main Error Summary page. The Main Error Summary page summarizes the results of the data after it is processed through MIRCal's edit programs, which you learned about in Video 4. Understanding the edit programs and the reasons the data might fail is very important when determining how to correct errors. At the top of the page is the submission information. Below that, you see the list of the edit programs and whether the data passed or failed. Fail means the data is not at or below the established error tolerance level. Our file has failed the comparative, standard, and readmission edit programs. We need to look at the error summary reports for each of these programs to see why the data failed. To view these reports, navigate to the Error Reports screen. This page provides links to all of the errors and data reports generated by MIRCal. Each edit program summary report displays a summary of the errors found by each edit program. You'll use these summary reports when you contact the facility about correcting the data. The Data Distribution Report displays a summary of the data submitted for the current report period, broken down by data element and category. As discussed in Video 1, you'll need Adobe Acrobat Reader to view the reports. To open a report, click View. When you select a report, it is displayed in a new window. It is not necessary to print or save all of the available reports. If the data passed the edit program, the report will not contain any information. You might find it helpful to keep electronic copies for your records and for discussing the errors with the facility. Now let's discuss how to submit corrections. Your agency may be able to correct certain types of errors without obtaining an updated data file. For example, the data will fail the transmittal validation program if you entered an incorrect number of records when you submitted the file. Remember, if the data file fails the transmittal validation, it will not be processed through the other edit programs. You must fix all transmittal errors before you can see errors from the other edit programs. The trend and comparative edit programs identify potential errors. If the data failed either of these edit programs, the facility needs to examine their records to see if the data they supplied to your agency is correct. If the facility determines that the records are accurate as reported, a new file will not be needed to correct these errors. Instead, the facility should contact OSHPD. OSHPD will work with the facility to clear these edits. In this example, the zip codes reported are correct. However, the high unknown preferred language spoken is not accurate and needs to be corrected. If the data contains errors, the facility has two options for making corrections. With offline corrections, the facility can correct the data in their in-house system, so you can submit an updated file. With online corrections, they can correct individual records in MIRCal, and then submit the corrections themselves. This is called manual corrections. What a facility chooses to do will likely depend on the type of errors and how many they have. If the facility chooses to correct all errors online, your agency will not be involved in the correction process. It will be the facility's responsibility to make sure they submit the corrected data by the report period due date. It is very important that you do not submit a data file if the facility will be making corrections online. The file will override their corrections. In our case, let's assume the facility corrected the records that were causing the C047 edit. They corrected these errors on their in-house system and sent the updates to your agency. You then extracted a new file and submitted it as a test. After processing, the results came back as below ETL. When the report status shows this message, the file you submitted has passed all of the edit programs and may be formally submitted. If you are making the final formal submission, confirm with the facility that they have determined all the data are correct as displayed in the data distribution report. To formally submit the data, we will follow the same process as we did with the test submission, but will instead select the Formal Radio button. Your final task will be to check that the data was approved after processing. Simply log into MIRCal and check for the Data Approved message in the report status. The message confirms that the data has been accepted and no further action is required. This concludes the video for designated agents.